The billionaire stood frozen in the rain, staring at the little girl who'd just called him the man my mama's supposed to marry. He had wealth beyond measure, a tech empire that dominated headlines, and a mansion that echoed with loneliness. She had nothing but a threadbare coat and eyes that had seen too much struggle for someone so young. In that moment, Nathan Cole faced a choice that would shatter everything he thought he knew about love, family, and what it means to build a life from broken pieces. Stay with me until the end of this story. Hit that like button and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this journey travels. The rain came down in sheets across downtown Chicago, turning Michigan Avenue into a river of brake lights and blurred neon. Nathan Cole sat in his Aston Martin, engine idling, watching water cascade down the windshield while his phone buzzed insistently against the leather seat. "You promised," his sister Rachel's latest text read. "Just one dinner. That's all I'm asking." He'd been staring at that message for 10 minutes now, his finger hovering over the restaurant's address. 32 years old, and he was letting his younger sister manage his love life like he was some helpless teenager. The thought made him grip the steering wheel harder. The truth was simpler and more pathetic than he wanted to admit. He had no idea how to do this anymore. 5 years. That's how long it had been since Sarah died. 5 years of burying himself in code, acquisitions, board meetings, anything to avoid the silence of his Gold Coast mansion. 5 years of watching his son Noah grow quieter, more withdrawn, turning into a ghost of the bright kid he used to be. "Mr. Cole?" His driver's voice crackled through the intercom. "Would you like me to park, sir?" Nathan glanced at his watch. Already 15 minutes late. The woman, Amanda, Annabelle, was probably already at the table, checking her phone, wondering if she'd been stood up. "Yeah," he said finally. "Park it, Marcus. I'll walk from here." The restaurant was one of those places where everything cost too much and tasted like disappointment wrapped in microgreens. Bella Notte. His sister had chosen it specifically because it was romantic but not intimidating, which Nathan translated as expensive enough to impress but not so fancy she'll think you're trying too hard. He was trying too hard just by being here. The maitre d' recognized him immediately. They always did, and led him to a corner table with a practiced smile that never quite reached his eyes. "Your companion hasn't arrived yet, Mr. Cole. May I bring you something while you wait?" "Scotch. Neat." Nathan settled into the chair, positioning himself so he could see the entrance. At least if this disaster went south quickly, he'd have a clear exit route. The scotch came. He drank it slowly, watching couples around him lean in close, laugh at private jokes, touch hands across white tablecloths. He used to be one of them, back when Sarah was alive. Back when he knew how to be a person instead of a balance sheet. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Nathan checked his phone. No messages. No calls. Nothing. Around him, servers began casting those subtle glances that said they'd noticed. The maitre d' approached twice, each time asking if perhaps Mr. Cole would like to order an appetizer while waiting. The second time, Nathan heard the unspoken question. "Has she actually stood you up?" 45 minutes. He should leave. This was ridiculous. He was Nathan Cole, founder and CEO of TechVance Solutions, the software company that had revolutionized data security and made him a billionaire before 30. He'd been on the cover of Forbes twice. Bloomberg called him one of the most influential tech minds of his generation. And here he sat, getting stood up like some schmuck on his first Tinder date. Nathan signaled for the check, pride burning in his chest alongside something that felt uncomfortably like relief. At least now he could go home, tell Rachel he'd tried, and go back to the comfortable numbness of his regular routine. "Excuse me?" The voice was small, uncertain. Nathan looked up, ready to tell whatever server it was that yes, he was leaving. No, he didn't need another drink. A little girl stood beside his table. She couldn't have been more than 5, wearing a pink jacket that had seen better days and sneakers that were coming apart at the seams. Her dark hair was pulled into 2 lopsided ponytails, and she was looking at him with the kind of serious expression that kids got when they were trying very hard to be grown up. "Are you the man my mama's supposed to marry?" Nathan blinked. "What?" "Mama said she had to meet a man for a date tonight, and Aunt Claire said maybe he'd be the one, and she'd get married, and I'd have a daddy." The words tumbled out in a rush, like she'd been holding them in for a long time. "So are you him? The man she's gonna marry?" Nathan had negotiated billion-dollar deals, faced down hostile investors, given keynote speeches to thousands of people. None of that had prepared him for this. I don't think, where's your mother? She's coming. She said to tell you she's really, really sorry. The girl twisted her fingers together, and Nathan noticed they were red and raw, like she'd been washing dishes in water that was too hot. She got stuck at work because Tommy didn't come in again. And then Mrs. Patterson canceled on watching me, so Mama had to bring me. But she said to wait here while she parks the car, and I should come tell you she's coming so you wouldn't leave. The rush of information was dizzying. Nathan tried to piece it together. This child belonged to his date. His date who was now, he checked his watch, 53 minutes late. Right, he said slowly. Well, thank you for letting me know. The girl didn't move. She just stood there studying him with disconcerting intensity. You have sad eyes, she announced. Nathan felt something catch in his chest. What? Sad eyes. Like Mr. Peterson's dog after his wife died. He looks at people like he's looking for someone, but she's not there anymore. She tilted her head. Is that why you're here, looking for someone? Before Nathan could formulate any kind of response to that psychological gut punch from a 5-year-old, the restaurant's front door burst open. A woman rushed in, breathless and soaked from the rain. She spotted the little girl immediately, and relief flooded her face, quickly followed by mortification as she took in the scene. Ava, what did I tell you about? She stopped, finally looking at Nathan. Oh no. I'm so sorry. I told her to wait by the door. I didn't mean... Ava, sweetheart, you can't just walk up to people. But Mama, you said... I know what I said, baby, but... The woman pressed a hand to her forehead, and Nathan saw it trembling. She looked like she was about to cry or scream, or possibly both. I am so sorry. You must be... Rachel showed me your photo, so I know you're... And I'm nearly an hour late, and I completely understand if you want to just... She was rambling, words tripping over each other, and Nathan found himself standing up before he'd fully decided to. It's okay, he said, and was surprised to find he meant it. The woman, Lily, he remembered now, his sister had said her name was Lily, stared at him like he'd just spoken in ancient Greek. It's what? It's okay. Your daughter explained. Work emergency, babysitter canceled. He gestured to the empty chair across from him. Why don't you both sit down? Lily looked at the elegant restaurant, at her dripping coat and worn jeans, at her daughter in her second-hand clothes. I can't... look at me. I'm a mess. And bringing Ava, that's not... This was supposed to be a proper date, and I've completely ruined it, and you probably have somewhere better to be. I don't, Nathan said, and realized it was the most honest thing he'd said all week. Please, sit. It took another 30 seconds of convincing, but eventually, Lily lowered herself into the chair like it might collapse under her. Ava climbed into the seat beside her, swinging her legs and looking around the restaurant with wide eyes. I've never been somewhere this fancy, the girl whispered, not quite softly enough. Lily's face went even redder. Ava, it's overrated, Nathan said, meeting the child's eyes. The food's good, but you know what? I bet your mom makes better pancakes than anything on this menu. Ava's face lit up. She makes the best pancakes with chocolate chips and whipped cream, and she draws smiley faces with the syrup. Ava, Mr. Cole doesn't want to hear about Nathan, he interrupted. Just Nathan. And actually, I do want to hear about it. My son loves pancakes too. He's 7. What about you? 5 3/4. Ava held up her fingers, demonstrating the precision of her age. But I'm tall for my age. Everyone says so. I can see that. A server appeared, menus in hand, and Nathan watched Lily's eyes widen as she scanned the prices. He could practically see her doing math in her head, calculating how many shifts she'd have to work to afford a single entree. What do you say we skip the fancy stuff? He said, making a decision. I know a place a few blocks from here, best pizza in Chicago, much more fun for... He glanced at Ava. Everyone. Lily looked at him like he'd just offered her the moon. You don't have to do that. Really. We can just... I want to, Nathan said. And the strange thing was, he did. 20 minutes later, they were crammed into a booth at Gino's Pizza, Ava between them, practically vibrating with excitement as she studied the cartoon characters on her paper placement. The restaurant was loud, crowded, Nothing like the refined atmosphere of Bellinote. Nathan couldn't remember the last time he'd felt this comfortable.
"So," Lily said, fidgeting with her napkin, "Rachel didn't tell me much about you. Just that you're in business and that you're—" She paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. "A good person going through a hard time." Nathan filed away his sister's description for later analysis. Software development, security systems mostly, data protection. He kept it vague, letting her assume he was some middle management type. The last thing he wanted was for money to enter this conversation.
That sounds impressive. It's boring, he said honestly. Lots of meetings, lots of computers. What about you? Lily's laugh was bitter. Not impressive at all. I waitress at Romano's. That's where I was supposed to be finishing my shift when Tommy decided not to show up. Again, she shot a look at Ava, who was now coloring enthusiastically. And I work mornings at the cafe on Halstead, the early shift. 2 jobs. Bills don't pay themselves. She said it matter-of-factly, without self-pity, but Nathan heard the exhaustion underneath. Ava starts kindergarten next year, and I'm trying to save up for better than what we have now. What do you have now? A 1-bedroom in Pilsen. Ava sleeps in the bedroom. I take the couch. Heat's iffy. The landlord's a nightmare, but the rent's cheap, and the neighbors are good people. She shrugged. Could be worse. Nathan thought about his mansion. 12 bedrooms, most of them empty. A wine cellar he never used. A home theater that mostly played cartoons for Noah. Square footage he'd bought because he could, because that's what successful people did. Mama works really hard, Ava announced, looking up from her coloring. Sometimes she cries when she thinks I'm sleeping, but I'm not. I'm just pretending. Ava! Lily's voice cracked. Well, it's true. You do cry. But it's okay. I cry too sometimes. We both miss Daddy, even though he left before I was born, so I don't know what I'm missing, but Mama says it's okay to be sad about things you never had. The silence that followed was profound. Nathan watched Lily close her eyes, watched her fight for composure while her daughter went back to coloring like she hadn't just dropped an emotional bomb in the middle of a pizza restaurant. I'm sorry, Lily whispered. She doesn't have a filter. I'm trying to teach her about appropriate conversation, but don't apologize. Nathan's voice came out rougher than he intended. My son doesn't have a filter either. Last week he told my CFO that his breath smells like dirty socks. Despite herself, Lily laughed. It was a real laugh, surprised and genuine, and it transformed her face completely. Nathan realized she was beautiful, not in the polished, maintained way of the women at charity galas, but in a way that felt earned, like she'd fought for every smile. What's your son's name? Ava asked. Noah. Like the Ark. We learned about that in Sunday school. He saved all the animals. She leaned forward conspiratorially. Does your Noah save animals? He tries to. Last month he brought home a stray cat. Before that it was a bird with a broken wing. We can't have pets, Ava said sadly. Our apartment doesn't allow them. But Mama said maybe someday when we get a house with a yard, I can have a dog. A big one. Ava, we talked about this. I know. Someday doesn't mean tomorrow. The little girl sighed dramatically. Someday means when we have more money, which means maybe never. The pizza arrived then, and Nathan was grateful for the distraction. He watched Ava's eyes go huge at the deep dish monstrosity, watched her very carefully cut her slice into tiny, manageable pieces. She ate slowly, methodically, like someone who'd learned not to waste food. Lily ate even more carefully, and Nathan noticed she only took 2 slices, claiming she wasn't very hungry. But he saw how she watched Ava, saw how she relaxed when the girl asked for another piece. She was giving most of her share to her daughter. The realization hit him hard. Here he was, a man who could buy this entire restaurant chain without making a dent in his bank account, sitting across from a woman who was quietly going hungry to make sure her kid got enough to eat. So tell me about Noah, Lily said, clearly trying to move past the awkwardness. What's he like? Nathan considered the question. Smart. Too smart sometimes. He reads at a 10th grade level, but he's failing social studies because he says it's boring. Is it boring? Probably. Nathan smiled despite himself. He's been quiet since his mom died. Doesn't make friends easily. Spends most of his time building things. Legos, model rockets, anything he can take apart and put back together. How long has it been since she?
5 years.
Cancer. Ovarian. He said it clinically, the way he always did, like if he kept the emotion out of his voice, it wouldn't hurt. She fought for 18 months, died 2 weeks after Noah's second birthday. Lily reached across the table and touched his hand. It was quick, light, probably unconscious, but Nathan felt it like electricity. "I'm sorry," she said. I can't imagine." "You're raising a kid alone. I'd say you can imagine pretty well." "That's different. I mean," she pulled her hand back, wrapped both around her water glass. "My situation was a choice. Ava's father made his decision before she was born. Your wife didn't choose to leave you." "Didn't she?" The bitterness in Nathan's voice surprised him. "She knew the genetic markers were there. Her mother died of the same thing. She could have been tested, could have done preventative treatment, but she was scared, so she waited. And by the time she finally went to a doctor, he stopped. He never talked about this. Not to therapists, not to friends, barely even to Rachel.
"Sorry," he muttered. "That was honest," Lily said quietly. "That was honest. And I think maybe honesty is in short supply in whatever world you usually live in."
Nathan looked at her, really looked. Her clothes were department store specials. Her coat had a stain on the sleeve. Her hands were rough from years of manual labor. But her eyes were clear and direct, and when she looked at him, he didn't see dollar signs or opportunity. He saw someone who'd been through her own kind of hell and come out still trying. "Can I ask you something?" he said.
"Sure. Why are you here? I mean, Rachel set this up, but you didn't have to say yes. Why agree to a blind date when you're working 2 jobs and raising a kid alone?" Lily was quiet for a long moment. "Because your sister came into Romano's 3 times in 1 week, ordered coffee she barely touched, and left tips that were bigger than her bills. The 3rd time, she told me she had a brother who needed to remember how to smile, and she thought maybe I could help with that."
"And you said yes because of the tips." "I said yes because she cried when she talked about you." Lily met his eyes. "She said you were disappearing, that every day you were there a little less, and she was scared that one day she'd look at you and there'd be nothing left but money and sadness." Nathan felt his throat tighten. "She said that?" "She loves you, so I thought—" Lily shrugged. "I thought maybe I could have one nice dinner with someone, and maybe that someone could remember for a few hours that there's more to life than whatever's eating him alive. Even if nothing came of it, what's the harm?" "And then you brought your daughter." "And then Mrs. Patterson's daughter went into labor 3 weeks early, and my backup babysitter has the flu, and I had no one else, and I was already an hour late." She stopped, shook her head. "I'm sorry. I should have called and canceled. This is probably the worst first date in the history of first dates." "Actually," Nathan said, surprising himself, "it's the best one I've had in 5 years." Lily stared at him. "You're making fun of me." "I'm really not. But and we're in a pizza restaurant instead of Billionaire, and I haven't felt this normal in half a decade." Nathan leaned back, studying the chaos around them. Families laughing, kids screaming, servers shouting orders. "This is the first time in years someone's talked to me like I'm a person instead of a bank account or a business opportunity." "I don't even know what you do," Lily pointed out. "Rachel just said software." "Exactly." Nathan smiled. "You want to know what most first dates are like for me? Women who've Googled my net worth before appetizers arrive. Conversations that somehow always circle back to vacation homes and investment portfolios. Compliments that are really just shopping." "That sounds awful." "It is." He gestured to Ava, who was now attempting to build a tower out of Parmesan cheese packets. "This? Your kid asking me about sad eyes and telling me your landlord's a nightmare? This is real." "Real doesn't pay well," Lily said, but she was smiling a little. They talked for another hour. Lily told him about growing up in Ohio, about coming to Chicago with dreams of being a teacher, but getting pregnant instead, and watching those dreams evaporate like smoke. She talked about Ava's father, a line cook named Marcus, who'd promised marriage and forever, then disappeared the day she took the pregnancy test. "I was stupid," she said. "I was 24, and stupid, and thought love meant something." "You weren't stupid. You were trusting. Same thing sometimes." Nathan told her about building tech vans, though he kept the scale vague, made it sound like a small operation instead of the empire it was. He told her about Sarah, about watching cancer eat away at someone piece by piece, about the helplessness of having all the money in the world and none of it mattering. Noah asked me once why I couldn't just buy Mommy more life, he said quietly. He was 4. He didn't understand why money couldn't fix everything. What did you tell him? That some things don't have price tags. Nathan stared at his glass. He didn't believe me. I'm not sure I did either. By the time they left the restaurant, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets slick and shining under streetlights. Nathan offered to drive them home, and after a moment's hesitation, Lily agreed. I took the bus, she admitted. And Ava gets carsick on buses when it's raining. His car was still in the parking garage near Billionaire. They walked the 3 blocks together, Ava between them holding both their hands and jumping over puddles. When they reached the garage, Nathan led them to his Aston Martin. Lily stopped dead. That's your car? Yeah, that's a $200,000 car. Closer to $250,000, actually. She turned to look at him, really look at him, and Nathan saw the moment understanding dawned. Rachel said you were in software. I am. What kind of software? The successful kind. Lily pulled her hand from his. Who are you? I'm Nathan Cole. I develop security systems for... No. Who are you really? Her voice had gone cold. Because people who drive $250,000 cars don't just happen to go on blind dates with single mothers who waitress for a living. Ava tugged on her mother's hand. Mama, what's wrong? Nothing, baby. But Lily's eyes never left Nathan's face. Tell me the truth. All of it. So he did. He told her about TechVance Solutions, about the $1 billion valuation, about the Forbes covers and the Bloomberg interviews. He told her about the mansion, the investments, the money that just kept multiplying no matter how much he spent. With every word, Lily's expression grew more closed off. So this was what? She said when he finished. Charity? Your sister felt sorry for the poor waitress and thought she'd set her up with her rich brother so he could feel good about himself? No, that's not... Or maybe it's a kink thing. Rich guy wants to feel normal for a night, so he finds someone who doesn't know any better. Lily, please, get in the car, Ava. But Mama, now. Nathan watched helplessly as Lily opened the car door, her movement sharp and angry. I live on Ashland in 21st. Just take us home, and then we're done. The drive was silent except for Ava's confused questions, which Lily shut down with increasingly terse responses. Nathan tried twice to explain, to make her understand that the money didn't matter, that tonight had been real, but she wouldn't look at him. When they pulled up to a crumbling apartment building with bars on the windows and gang tags on the walls, Lily had the door open before he'd even put the car in park. Thank you for dinner, she said formally, mechanically. It was very generous of you. Lily, wait. But she was already out, pulling Ava with her, hurrying toward the building's entrance. Nathan sat in his expensive car on this broken street, watching them disappear through a door with a busted lock, and felt more alone than he had in years. His phone buzzed. Rachel. How did it go? Nathan stared at the message for a long moment. Then he put the car in drive and headed home, back to his empty mansion, back to his silent rooms, back to the life he'd been trying so hard to escape. He didn't answer his sister's text. What was there to say? That he'd found something real for the first time in 5 years, and his own wealth had destroyed it before it could even begin? That a 5-year-old with sad eyes had seen more clearly in one glance than he'd managed in half a decade? That he'd driven away from that apartment building feeling like he'd left something crucial behind, something he hadn't even known he was looking for until it was already gone? Instead, he went home, paid the babysitter, checked on Noah, who was asleep surrounded by scattered Lego pieces, stood in his son's doorway and wondered when they'd both become so good at being lonely. His phone buzzed again. Not Rachel this time. I'm sorry for how I reacted. The message was from an unknown number. His sister must have given Lily his contact. You didn't deserve that. Thank you for being kind to Ava. She hasn't stopped talking about you. Nathan typed and deleted 6 responses before settling on, Can I see you again? The reply took 5 minutes. 5 minutes where Nathan sat on his son's floor, holding his phone like a lifeline, feeling ridiculous and desperate and more alive than he'd felt since Sarah died. I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Because you're you, and I'm me, and those worlds don't mix. They did tonight. Tonight was a fantasy. A nice one, but not real. Nathan looked around Noah's room, at the expensive furniture his son never noticed, at the toys that were more status symbol than plaything, at the emptiness that no amount of money had managed to fill. Then let's make it real, he typed. He didn't get a response that night, or the next day, or the day after that, but he kept thinking about a little girl with lopsided ponytails who'd seen his sadness in one glance, kept thinking about a woman who went hungry so her daughter could have pizza, kept thinking about what it felt like to be seen as a person instead of a portfolio, and he started to realize that maybe, just maybe, that disastrous blind date had changed everything. He just had to figure out how to prove it. 3 days passed before Nathan did something he hadn't done in years. He called in sick to work. You're what? His assistant Jennifer sounded like he'd just announced he was joining the circus. Mr. Cole, you came to the office with the flu last year. You never miss work. Well, I'm missing it today. Nathan stood in his kitchen, staring at the address he'd already memorized, Ashland and 21st. Cancel everything. Reschedule the board meeting. But the investors from Tokyo are flying in specifically to Jennifer, cancel it. He hung up before she could protest further, grabbed his keys, then stopped. The Aston Martin was exactly the wrong vehicle for where he was going. Instead, he headed to the garage's back corner, to the Honda Accord he'd bought Noah's nanny 3 years ago and barely remembered owning. The drive to Pilsen felt longer than it should have. Morning traffic crawled through the loop, giving Nathan too much time to question what he was doing. He was a billionaire CEO, showing up unannounced at a woman's apartment because... why, exactly? Because she'd made him feel something? Because her daughter had noticed his sadness? Because for 3 nights he'd barely slept, kept replaying a conversation in a pizza restaurant like it was the most important business deal of his life. The neighborhood changed as he drove south. Glass towers gave way to brick walk-ups, boutique coffee shops to corner bodegas with signs in Spanish. He found parking 2 blocks from Lily's building and sat in the car for 5 minutes, trying to figure out what the hell he was going to say. The building looked worse in daylight. Cracked steps, a front door hanging crooked on its hinges, windows covered with sheets instead of curtains. This was where Lily came home every night, where Ava slept. Nathan thought about his mansion's empty bedrooms and felt sick. He was halfway up the steps when a woman's voice stopped him. You lost, honey? She was older, maybe 60, wearing a house dress and slippers, sitting on the stoop with a cigarette and a look that said she'd seen everything twice. I'm looking for Lily Harper, Unit 2B? The woman's eyes narrowed. Why? I'm a friend. Uh-huh. She took a long drag. Lily don't have friends who dress like that. So why don't you tell me who you really are before I call my nephew Jorge? He don't like strangers bothering the single mothers. Nathan looked down at his clothes. He'd deliberately worn jeans and a plain jacket, but apparently even his casual wear screamed money. My name's Nathan. I met Lily a few days ago. We had dinner. The blind date. Recognition flickered across the woman's face. Little Ava wouldn't shut up about it. Man with the sad eyes, she kept saying. Man who bought her pizza. That's me. She also said you got a fancy car and her mama got mad. The woman stood, stubbing out her cigarette. So what are you doing here, Nathan with the sad eyes? Come to see how the other half lives. Come to apologize. For having money? For not being honest about it from the start. The woman studied him for a long moment. Then she pointed to the buzzer. 2B. But she left for her shift at the cafe 20 minutes ago. Won't be back till 2. Nathan checked his watch. It was barely 8. Which cafe? Sunrise on Halstead, about 6 blocks north. She settled back onto her step. But if you hurt that girl or her baby, Jorge ain't gonna be your biggest problem. I got 3 sons and 12 grandkids in this building, and we take care of our own. Understood. He found the cafe wedged between a laundromat and a check cashing place. Through the window, he could see Lily behind the counter, hair pulled back, wearing a green apron, pouring coffee for a construction worker who was clearly trying to flirt with her. She smiled at him. A professional smile, the kind service workers learn to fake. But Nathan had seen her real smile, the one from the pizza restaurant, and the difference was stark. The bell chimed when he walked in. Lily looked up automatically, saw him, and nearly dropped the coffee pot. "What are you doing here?" The construction worker turned to look at Nathan, then back at Lily, clearly trying to figure out the dynamic. "Everything okay, Lily?" "Fine, Mike. Thanks." She set the pot down carefully. "Nathan, I'm working." "I know. I just wanted to... Can we talk?" "I'm on shift until 2. "Then I'll wait." Lily glanced around the cafe, at Mike watching with interest, at the cook visible through the kitchen window, at the handful of other customers pretending not to listen. "You can't just... This isn't..." "One conversation," Nathan said. "That's all I'm asking." Her jaw tightened. For a second, he thought she'd tell him to leave. Then she turned to the kitchen. "Carlos, I'm taking my 15. "You just got here," a male voice called back. "I know. Please?" A heavy-set man appeared in the kitchen doorway, took one look at the situation, and sighed. 15 minutes. Not 16. Lily untied her apron and headed for the door, not checking if Nathan followed. He did, out onto the sidewalk where early morning foot traffic flowed around them like water around stones. "You shouldn't be here," she said, arms crossed. "I know. I told you it wasn't a good idea, us seeing each other." "You did. So why are you here?" Nathan had rehearsed this on the drive over, had planned what to say, how to say it, the exact words that would make her understand. But standing here on this cracked sidewalk, watching her try to hold herself together, all those careful phrases evaporated. "Because I can't stop thinking about you," he said. Lily's expression didn't soften. "That's not a good enough reason." "Because Ava was right. I do have sad eyes. I've had them for 5 years, and I didn't even notice until a 5-year-old pointed it out." He stepped closer. "Because for 3 days I've been trying to convince myself that what I felt at that restaurant was just loneliness or nostalgia or some midlife crisis, and I can't. Because it was real, Lily. It was the realest thing I've felt since my wife died." "Stop." Her voice cracked. "Just stop." "Why?" "Because you're a billionaire, Nathan. You have a mansion and a company and a life that doesn't include struggling to pay rent or working 2 jobs or..." She gestured at the cafe behind her. "Or serving coffee to guys who think tipping an extra $1 means I owe them a smile. That's not your world." "So? Maybe I don't want my world anymore. You say that now, but what happens in a month? 6 months? When the novelty wears off and you remember that I can't afford the restaurants you eat at or the clothes you wear or..." Her voice dropped. "When you remember that you could do so much better." "Better than someone who goes hungry so her kid can eat? Better than someone who works herself half to death and still finds time to make pancakes with smiley faces?" Nathan shook his head. "There is no better, Lily. There's just different. And I've tried different. I've dated women with trust funds and designer wardrobes and vacation homes in Aspen. You know what they all had in common? Not one of them looked at me the way you did. Not one of them saw me. I barely know you. Then let me change that. Let me take you to dinner. A real dinner, not a disaster blind date. I can't afford a babysitter. Bring Ava. Nathan, bring her. Please, let me prove that this isn't about money or charity or whatever you think it is." He pulled out his phone, pulled up the calendar. "You said you work here until 2. What time's your shift at Romano's?" 5. "So you have 3 hours. Have dinner with me, with Ava, somewhere she'd like. Anywhere you want." Lily was quiet for so long Nathan thought she'd say no. Then, "There's a diner on Cermak. Nothing fancy. Ava loves their grilled cheese." "What time?" 2:30. "But Nathan, if this is some kind of..." "It's not. I promise." She studied his face, looking for the lie. Whatever she found there must have satisfied her because she nodded slowly. "Okay, 1 dinner, but after that, if I say we're done, agreed?" "Agreed." Lily went back inside, and Nathan stood on the sidewalk feeling like he'd just won a negotiation worth more than any contract he'd ever signed. He had 3 hours to kill. He spent them driving around the neighborhood, seeing things he'd never noticed before despite living in Chicago his whole life. A community garden where people grew vegetables in old tires. A corner store where the owner knew everyone by name. Kids playing soccer in a parking lot using trash cans as goals. People living entire lives in the shadows of the skyscrapers where Nathan spent his days, and he'd never once looked down long enough to notice. At 2:15, he was parked outside Lily's building. At 2:20, she emerged with Ava, who spotted him immediately and broke into a run. "You came back! Mama said maybe you wouldn't, but you did." Nathan caught her in a hug, surprised by how natural it felt. "I said I would, didn't I?" Lots of people say things. Ava pulled back, serious again. "Mama says saying and doing are different. Your mama's right, but I try to do what I say." Lily caught up, slightly out of breath. "Ava, you can't just run up to people. He's not people, Mama. He's Nathan." Something in Nathan's chest twisted at the easy certainty in the child's voice, like he was already someone important, someone safe. The diner was exactly what he'd expected. Cracked vinyl booths, a waitress who'd been working there since before he was born, a menu that hadn't changed in 30 years. Ava ordered grilled cheese and fries. Lily ordered soup, claiming she wasn't very hungry, though Nathan noticed the way her eyes lingered on the burger special. "Get the burger," he said quietly. "I'm fine with soup." "Lily, get the burger." She hesitated, then flagged down the waitress and changed her order. When it arrived, massive and dripping with cheese and bacon, she stared at it like she might cry. "When's the last time you ate something just because you wanted it?" Nathan asked. "I don't keep track." "That's not an answer." Lily picked up the burger, took a bite, and closed her eyes. 3 months. There was a birthday party at Ava's preschool. They had extra cake. Nathan felt anger simmer in his gut. Not at her, at a world that made a woman count birthday cake as a luxury. "Why didn't you order food at the pizza place the other night?" "I did. I had 2 slices. You could have had more. And let Ava see me eating when we can barely afford groceries?" Lily set down the burger. "You don't get it. When you're this broke, every choice is a trade-off. I eat a burger, that's $10 I don't have for Ava's field trip next month. I buy myself new shoes, that's her winter coat I can't afford. Everything costs something. What if it didn't? But it does. That's reality, Nathan, my reality." Ava, oblivious to the tension, was trying to build a tower out of French fries. She'd gotten to 6 high when it collapsed, and she giggled like it was the funniest thing in the world. "Tell me about your week," Nathan said to her. "What did you do?" "We made art. Miss Rodriguez said mine was very creative." Ava's face glowed with pride. "I painted our family, me and Mama, and the dog we're going to get someday." "What kind of dog?" "A big one, with spots. And Mama said maybe if we get a house, I can have a dog and a cat, and maybe a rabbit, but that's a lot of maybes." Lily's face had gone carefully neutral. Nathan filed away the mention of a house for later. "I have a big house," he said carefully. "Noah would probably like a dog too. Maybe we should all go to the shelter sometime, just to look." Ava's eyes went huge. "Really?" "Ava, we're not—" Lily started. "Just to look," Nathan repeated, holding Lily's gaze. "No commitment, just looking." The rest of the meal passed easier. Ava talked nonstop about preschool, about her best friend Maya, about how she wanted to be a doctor when she grew up because doctors helped people and that seemed important. Nathan found himself relaxing in a way he rarely did, even with friends. There was something about this child's absolute honesty that was terrifying and refreshing in equal measure. After they finished, Nathan suggested ice cream. Lily started to protest, but Ava's excitement overruled her, and they ended up at a place that served cones bigger than Ava's head. "This is too much," Lily said, watching her daughter struggle with the melting tower. "This is ice cream. There's no such thing as too much." "She's going to crash so hard later. Isn't that the point of childhood? Too much ice cream and crashing hard?" Lily smiled despite herself. "You sound like you know what you're doing." "I have a 7-year-old. I've learned that sugar solves most problems and creates a few new ones." "Where's Noah today?" "With his nanny. She's better at the day-to-day stuff than I am." Nathan heard how that sounded and winced. "That came out wrong?" "No, it didn't. It came out honest." Lily watched Ava, who was now trying to lick ice cream off her nose. "You work a lot, I'm guessing." "Too much. Noah barely sees me during the week. I tell myself it's necessary, that I'm building something for his future. But the truth is, it's easier than being home. Easier than seeing Sarah's absence in every room." "Is that changing? Now that you're taking random Tuesdays off to stalk waitresses?" Nathan laughed. "Maybe. My assistant thought I was dying when I called in sick." Were you really sick? Sick of pretending I didn't want to see you again. Does that count? Lily looked at him over her ice cream cone, and Nathan saw the exact moment her walls started to crack. Not collapse, just crack. Enough to let a little light through. I Googled you, she admitted. After the blind date, saw the Forbes article, the Bloomberg interview, the photos of you at charity galas with women who look like models. Those women are exhausting. They're gorgeous. They're boring. Nathan leaned closer. You know what every single one of them wanted to talk about? Investment portfolios, real estate, who was buying what yacht. Not one of them asked me about Noah. Not one of them noticed I was miserable. Maybe you hide it well. Or maybe they just didn't care to look. Ava appeared at Nathan's elbow, ice cream somehow in her hair. Can we go to the park? Please? Mama never has time for the park. Lily checked her phone. Baby, I have to get to work. What if I took her? Nathan said. To the park. You go to your shift, I'll watch Ava, and I'll bring her to Romano's before you finish. Absolutely not. Why not? Because we barely... Lily lowered her voice. Because I don't know you well enough to leave my daughter with you. That's fair. What if we all went to the park first, and then I drove you to work? That way Ava gets park time, you get to your shift, and I get... He stopped. Get what? More time. With both of you. Lily looked between Nathan and her daughter, calculating risks and rewards in the way he recognized from boardrooms. Finally, she sighed. Fine. But a small park. And I need to be at Romano's by 5 sharp. The park was 2 blocks away, mostly concrete with a rusty swing set and a slide that had seen better decades. Ava didn't care. She ran for the swings like they were made of gold, and Nathan found himself pushing her while Lily sat on a bench, watching with an expression he couldn't quite read. Higher! Ava shrieked. Higher! If I push any higher, you'll go into orbit. What's orbit? It's where the satellites are, in space. You know about space? A little bit. Noah's obsessed with it. Has posters all over his room. I want to go to space someday. Is that silly? Not even a little bit, Nathan said, and meant it. After swings came the slide, which Ava insisted on going down backward, then sideways, then in increasingly creative positions that made Lily call out warnings about broken bones. Nathan stood at the bottom, ready to catch her, and tried to remember the last time he'd been to a playground. 5 years. Before Sarah got too sick to walk. Your turn, Ava announced. I'm a little big for the slide. No one's too big for the slide. That's silly. She grabbed his hand with her small, sticky one. Come on! So Nathan climbed the ladder, his knees protesting the crouch required, and slid down the too small slide, feeling ridiculous and strangely happy. Ava clapped like he'd accomplished something remarkable. See? Fun! Definitely fun. They played until Lily called that they needed to leave. Ava pouted, but obeyed, taking Nathan's hand on one side and her mother's on the other as they walked back to the car. This is nice, the little girl said. Like a real family. Nathan felt Lily's hand tense in Ava's grip, but she didn't pull away. Romano's was in a strip mall on Western Avenue, sandwiched between a dollar store and a tax preparation office. Nathan pulled up to the curb, and Lily gathered her things with practiced efficiency. Thank you for today, she said, not quite meeting his eyes. Ava had fun. What about you? She paused. Yeah, I did. Can I see you again? Nathan, just dinner or lunch or coffee, whatever works. Lily looked at Ava in the back seat, then back at Nathan. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Trying so hard. You could have anyone. Why me? Nathan thought about all the careful, strategic answers he could give, the ones that would sound right, that would make sense. But Ava's words echoed in his head. Mama says saying and doing are different. Because when I'm with you, I don't feel empty, he said simply. And I felt empty for a really long time. Lily's eyes went bright. She blinked hard, nodded once, and climbed out of the car. But before she closed the door, she turned back. Thursday, she said. I'm off Thursday afternoon. There's a children's museum Ava's been asking about for months. If you and Noah want to come, we'll be there.
What time? 2:00. The main entrance. Then she was gone, disappearing into the restaurant, and Nathan was left with Ava, who was humming in the back seat. Mama likes you, the girl announced. You think so? Uh-huh. She gets all weird and smiley. She only does that when she likes someone. Ava kicked her feet against the seat. Do you like her? Yeah, Nathan said. I really do. Good, because I like you too. And if you marry Mama, then you could be my daddy, and we could live in your big house, and I could get my dog. Nathan's throat went tight. That's a lot of steps, kiddo.
Mama says if you want something, you got to plan for it. So I'm planning. He drove Ava back to her apartment, where the woman from that morning, Mrs. Rodriguez, she introduced herself, was waiting to watch her until Lily got home at midnight. The older woman gave Nathan another long, evaluating look before nodding. You can come back, she said. But you hurt them, and what Jorge does will be the least of your problems. Understood. That night, Nathan sat in his home office trying to work, but the numbers on the screen wouldn't focus. He kept thinking about Lily's face when she admitted she'd had fun, about Ava's certainty that people should plan for what they want. His phone rang. Rachel. Jennifer said you were sick. Are you dying? Not dying, just needed a day. For what? To see someone. Rachel was quiet for a beat. The waitress, Lily. Her name is Lily, and she's not just a waitress. I didn't mean... Nathan, I'm glad you saw her again. Really? But be careful, okay? You barely know this woman. I barely knew Sarah when I married her. We met at a conference and were engaged 3 months later. That was different. How? Because Sarah was... Rachel stopped herself. Was what? Rich? From the right background? Say it, Rachel. I was going to say safe. She was safe, Nathan. Her world matched yours. But Lily, what happens when the money becomes an issue? When she realizes how different your lives are? It's already an issue. We're dealing with it. Are you? Or are you playing house because it's new and different and makes you feel something? His sister's voice gentled. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to protect you. You've been through enough. Maybe I don't want to be protected anymore. After he hung up, Nathan went upstairs to check on Noah. His son was awake, reading under the covers with a flashlight. You're supposed to be asleep, Nathan said. I'm not tired. Noah didn't look up from his book. Where were you today? I had some things to do. Mrs. Chen said you were sick, but you don't look sick. Nathan sat on the edge of the bed. I met someone, a woman, and her daughter. Now Noah looked up. Like a date? Yeah, kind of like that. His son studied him with Sarah's eyes, serious and searching. Is she nice? Very nice. Her daughter's 5. She likes swings and ice cream and wants to be a doctor. Does she like space? I don't know. Maybe you could ask her Thursday. We're going to the Children's Museum. All 4 of us. Noah's expression was unreadable. Okay? Just okay? I don't know her, so okay is all I got right now. Fair enough. Nathan ruffled his son's hair. Get some sleep. School tomorrow. But as he left, Noah called out, Dad? Yeah? Do you like her? The woman? Nathan thought about Lily's smile, about the way she'd relaxed over that burger, about the crack in her walls letting light through. Yeah, buddy, I do. Then okay is good. Okay can get better. Thursday arrived through a gray drizzle that matched Nathan's nerves. He'd barely slept, kept checking the weather forecast like he could will the rain away through sheer determination. At 1:30, he loaded Noah into the car, the Accord again, not anything flashy, and drove toward the museum. You're being weird, Noah observed. I'm not being weird. You checked your hair in the mirror 3 times. That's weird. I just want to make a good impression. On a 5-year-old? On everyone. They arrived early. Nathan parked and sat drumming his fingers on the steering wheel while Noah played a game on his tablet. What if she doesn't like me? His son asked suddenly. Who, Ava? She'll love you. Not the kid. The mom. What if she thinks I'm, I don't know, weird or quiet or... Hey, Nathan turned in his seat. You're not weird. You're smart and thoughtful, and anyone who doesn't see that isn't worth knowing. Mom used to say that. Your mom was right about a lot of things. They were 5 minutes early, But Lily and Ava were already there, standing under the museum's awning to escape the drizzle. Ava spotted their car immediately and waved so enthusiastically she nearly fell over. "That's them?" Noah asked. "That's them." His son stared for a long moment. Then, "Her coat's too small, and her shoes have holes." Nathan looked and saw he was right. Ava's jacket sleeves ended well above her wrists, and her sneakers were splitting at the seams. "Yeah," he said quietly. "They don't have a lot of money." "But you do." "I do." "So why doesn't she just—" Noah stopped, thinking it through. "Oh, because she doesn't want to be charity." "Something like that." "That's dumb. If someone needs help, you should help them." "It's more complicated than that, bud." Adults always say that, but usually it's not. They got out of the car, and Nathan made introductions. Ava immediately started chattering at Noah, asking about his favorite exhibits and whether he liked dinosaurs or space better. Noah, who usually took hours to warm up to new people, answered in actual sentences. Lily hung back with Nathan as the kids walked ahead. "He seems like a good kid," she said. "He is. Quiet, but good." "Ava's never quiet. Sorry in advance." "Don't be. It's nice. The house is too quiet most of the time." Inside, the museum was controlled chaos. Kids everywhere, exhibits beeping and flashing, the smell of popcorn from the snack bar. Ava pulled Noah toward the water table, and Nathan watched his serious son actually smile as they experimented with locks and dams. "They're getting along," Lily observed. "Better than I expected." They wandered through exhibits, Ava providing nonstop narration while Noah demonstrated things with the careful precision of someone who'd read all the signs. At the space exhibit, they bonded over a simulation of the Mars rover, working together to navigate obstacles. "Can we get food?" Ava asked eventually. "I'm starving." The museum cafe was overpriced and underwhelming, but Nathan didn't care. He bought pizza slices and juice boxes and cookies the size of Ava's hand, and watched Lily try not to look overwhelmed by the total. "My treat," he said quietly. "Nathan, it's a museum cafe. Overcharging is literally their business model. Let me." She relented, but he saw how she calculated the cost anyway, filing it away in whatever mental ledger she kept. After they ate, the kids wanted to try the climbing structure, a 3-story maze of tunnels and slides. Nathan and Lily stood below, watching 2 small figures navigate through transparent tubes. "Thank you for this," Lily said. "Ava's been asking about this place for months, but I could never afford the entrance fee, let alone—" She gestured at the cafe debris. "All of this. You don't have to thank me." "Yeah, I do. She paused, searching for words. "You're being really kind. And I'm not used to kind without a catch." "No catch. Everyone has a catch, Nathan." He turned to face her fully. "What's the worst thing that could happen here? Say I'm not who I seem. Say this is some elaborate setup. What's the worst outcome?" Lily thought about it. "Ava gets attached. To you, to Noah, to the idea of this being real. And when it falls apart, because it will fall apart, she's the one who gets hurt." "What about you?" "I've been hurt before. I'll survive." "But she's 5. She still believes good things can happen." Lily's voice cracked slightly. "I can't let someone take that from her. So teach her that good things do happen, that sometimes people show up and mean what they say and stick around. And if you don't stick around?" Nathan didn't have an answer for that. Or rather, he had several, but none that wouldn't sound like promises he wasn't sure he could keep. The silence stretched until Noah appeared at the bottom of the climbing structure, Ava right behind him. "Dad, can we do the dinosaur dig? Please?" They spent another hour at the museum until Ava started getting cranky and Noah's social battery visibly depleted. In the parking lot, the kids said goodbye with the easy warmth of people who'd decided to be friends. "Can we do this again?" Ava asked. "Please?" Nathan looked at Lily. She looked back, something unspoken passing between them. "Yeah," she said finally. "We can do this again." Again turned into a pattern neither of them had quite planned for. The following Saturday, Nathan showed up at Lily's apartment with Noah and a toolkit, claiming he'd noticed her kitchen cabinet hanging crooked and it was driving him crazy. Lily protested for approximately 30 seconds before Ava dragged Noah off to show him her extensive collection of library books, leaving the adults alone in the cramped kitchen. You don't have to fix things every time you visit, Lily said, watching Nathan examine the cabinet hinges. And I'm not fixing things every time. Last time was the wobbly table leg. That was Tuesday. See? Completely different. Nathan tested the screws, frowning. These are stripped. You need new hardware. I'll add it to the list. What list? The very long list of things this apartment needs that I can't afford. Lily leaned against the counter, arms crossed. The heater makes a noise like a dying cat. The bathroom tile's cracked. The window in Ava's room doesn't lock properly. Want me to keep going? Nathan straightened, looking around the kitchen with new eyes. He'd been here 4 times now, but he'd been so focused on Lily and Ava that he hadn't really seen the place. Noticed the water stain on the ceiling, the outlet covers hanging loose, the way the linoleum peeled up near the sink. Your landlord should fix these things. Should is a nice word. Doesn't mean much when he won't return calls. She shrugged, but Nathan saw the tension in her shoulders. It's cheap rent, ideal.
How cheap? Why? Just curious. Lily studied him for a long moment. $8.50 a month, which I know sounds like nothing to you, but it's everything to me. It means Ava has a roof and a bedroom, and I can almost make rent and utilities and still buy groceries most weeks. Almost.
Nathan filed that word away with all the other things he was learning about how Lily lived, how she calculated every purchase down to the penny, how she wore the same 3 outfits on rotation because clothes weren't a priority when your kid needed shoes, how she kept crackers in her purse because sometimes there wasn't enough food at home to pack a proper lunch. The worst part was how matter-of-fact she was about all of it. Like poverty was just weather she'd learned to dress for. Let me help, he said. Nathan, not with money. With this. He gestured at the apartment. Let me fix the things that need fixing. I'm good with my hands, I've got tools, and it'll make me feel useful. You run a billion-dollar company. You're plenty useful. Yeah, well, that doesn't help much here, does it? He picked up the screwdriver again, meeting her eyes. Let me do this, please. Lily looked like she wanted to argue, but then Ava's laugh echoed from the bedroom, followed by Noah's quieter chuckle, and something in her face softened. Fine, she said, but just the stuff that's actually broken. Don't go getting ideas about renovations or Scout's honor. Only broken stuff. He spent the next 2 hours fixing the cabinet, then the wobbly bathroom doorknob Lily swore she'd mentioned. In the bedroom, Noah and Ava had built an elaborate fort out of sheets and were reading by flashlight, their voices a quiet murmur. They're good together, Lily said, appearing in the doorway with 2 glasses of water. I wasn't sure how it'd go, Noah being older and all, but he's patient with her. He's been alone a lot. I think he likes having someone to talk to who's not an adult. Ava too. Other kids at preschool, their parents don't like them playing with her much. Nathan took the water she offered. Why not? Because we're poor, because I'm a single mom, because... Lily stopped, jaw tight. Because people make assumptions. What kind of assumptions? That poverty's contagious. That if their precious kids play with the scholarship kid, they might catch something. Her voice had gone flat, emotionless, but Nathan heard the anger underneath. There was a birthday party last month. Whole class invited except Ava. The mom said it was an oversight, but everyone knows it wasn't. That's normal. That's normal when you're us. Lily set her glass down hard enough that water sloshed. You want to know what it's really like, Nathan? It's watching your kid not get invited to parties because her clothes are from Goodwill. It's teachers who assume she's not smart because she can't afford the field trips. It's other parents who won't set up play dates because they don't want to see how we live. Nathan didn't know what to say. Every word that came to mind sounded hollow or ignorant or both. I'm sorry, he said finally. Don't be sorry, just... Lily turned away, staring at the peeling wallpaper. Don't pretend it's easy to bridge this gap. Your world and mine. They're not just different, Nathan. They're built to stay separate. Before he could respond, Noah appeared in the hallway, tablet in hand. Dad, Mrs. Chen texted, she needs to leave by 6 for her grandson's recital. Nathan checked his watch, 5:45. He'd lost track of time completely. We should go, he said to Lily. Yeah, thanks for... She gestured at the now straight cabinet. You know, the drive home was quiet. Noah stared out the window, and Nathan could feel questions building in his son's silence. Just ask, Nathan said finally. Why doesn't Ava have better stuff?
Because her mom doesn't have a lot of money. But you do, so why don't you just give them some? It's complicated.
You always say that. Noah's voice carried an edge Nathan rarely heard. But it's not. They need help. You can help. What's complicated? Pride? Dignity? Not wanting to feel like charity? That's dumb. Maybe, but it matters to Lily. Her independence matters. Noah was quiet for another mile. Then, Mom would have helped them. The words hit Nathan square in the chest. What? Mom. She would have found a way to help without making it weird. She was good at that. His son's voice went small. I miss that. Someone who just knew how to fix things. Nathan pulled into their driveway, killed the engine, and sat in the dark garage trying to figure out how to respond. Sarah had been good at that. At reading people, at knowing exactly what they needed and how to give it to them without making them feel small. He was good at code and contracts and closing deals. Not at this. I'm trying, he said finally. I know I'm not great at it, but I'm trying. I know. Noah unbuckled his seatbelt. Do you love her, Lily? The question was so direct, so unexpected that Nathan fumbled for an answer. We've only known each other a few weeks. That's not what I asked. Nathan thought about Lily's face when she'd admitted Ava got excluded from birthday parties. About the way she'd relaxed over that burger at the diner. About how she made poverty sound like weather and kept crackers in her purse and went hungry so her daughter could eat. I don't know yet, he said honestly, but I think I could, if she'd let me. Noah nodded like this made perfect sense. Okay, but Dad? Yeah? If you're going to do this, be with them. You can't do it halfway. Ava's already attached, I can tell. And if you bail because it gets hard or weird or whatever, you'll wreck her. The fact that his 7-year-old understood this better than most adults was both impressive and deeply unsettling. I'm not going to bail. You better not. The next week brought a routine that felt almost normal. Tuesday morning, Nathan took both kids to the aquarium while Lily worked a double shift. Wednesday evening, they met at the park, and Nathan taught Ava how to pump her legs on the swing while Lily and Noah had an intense discussion about whether Pluto should count as a planet. Thursday night, Nathan's phone rang at 11. Lily crying so hard he could barely understand her. What's wrong? Is Ava okay? She's fine. She's asleep. Nathan, I don't know who else to call. Her voice cracked. The landlord showed up tonight. Gave me 30 days' notice. He's selling the building. Nathan was already reaching for his keys. I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already in the car. He made it to Pilsen in 20 minutes, found Lily sitting on the front steps even though it was nearly freezing. She'd thrown a coat over her pajamas, and her face was blotchy from crying. Nathan sat beside her without a word. I can't find another place for $850, she said. I've been looking all night. Everything's minimum $1,000, and that's for neighborhoods worse than this. And first month, last month deposit. I'd need $3,000 up front. I don't have $3,000. I barely have $300. I can... Don't. Please don't offer to pay for it. I can't... She wrapped her arms around herself. I've worked so hard to do this on my own, to not depend on anyone. And now I'm going to have to move back to Ohio with my parents, and Ava will have to leave her school and her friends, and I'll be right back where I started. 24 and pregnant and living in my childhood bedroom. Nathan wanted to fix this. Wanted to write a check, find her an apartment, make the problem disappear. But he could hear Noah's voice in his head. Mom would have found a way to help without making it weird. What if you didn't move to Ohio? He said slowly. Nathan, I can't afford... What if you moved in with me? The words hung in the cold air between them. Lily turned to stare at him like he'd lost his mind. What? Move in. You and Ava. I have 12 bedrooms and it's just me and Noah rattling around. You'd have your own space. Ava would have her own room. You wouldn't have to pay rent. Are you insane? Probably. But think about it. You need a place to live. I have more space than I know what to do with. The kids already get along. It makes sense. It makes no sense. Lily stood up, pacing. Nathan, we've known each other 3 weeks. 3 weeks? And you want us to move into your mansion? Do you hear how crazy that sounds? Yeah, I do. I also hear how practical it is. Practical. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Nothing about this is practical. You're a billionaire. I'm a waitress. We're not...
This isn't some romantic comedy where the rich guy saves the poor girl and everyone lives happily ever after. I'm not trying to save you. Yes, you are. That's exactly what you're doing. Her voice rose and Nathan saw curtains twitch in nearby windows. You're trying to fix me like I'm one of your broken cabinet hinges, and I'm not a project, Nathan. I'm a person with pride and plans, and I know that. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're trying to buy your way into feeling useful, into feeling something. The words stung because they had teeth. Nathan stood too, facing her. You're right, he said. I am trying to feel something. Because for 5 years I've been numb, and then I met you and I started feeling again. And yeah, maybe I'm handling it badly. Maybe I'm screwing this up. But don't tell me I'm trying to buy you when all I'm trying to do is keep you from having to move across the country with your daughter because you can't afford Chicago anymore. Lily's face crumpled. That's not fair. None of this is fair. It's not fair that you work 2 jobs and still can't make rent. It's not fair that Ava gets excluded from birthday parties. It's not fair that you have to choose between eating and making sure your kid has winter boots. Nathan's voice dropped. And it's not fair that I have more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes while you're sitting on frozen steps trying to figure out how to avoid being homeless. I'm not going to be homeless. I'll figure something out. By moving to Ohio, if that's what it takes. What if you didn't have to? What if there was another option? Lily shook her head. Living with you isn't an option, Nathan. It's a fantasy, and fantasies end. So do leases in 30 days. He stepped closer. I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm not asking for anything except to let me help. You'd have your own space, your own life. You could keep working, keep saving, and when you're ready to get your own place, you could. But at least you wouldn't have to uproot Ava. And what do I tell people? What do I tell Ava? Tell them the truth. That we're friends helping each other out. Friends. Lily's laugh was bitter. Is that what we are? I don't know what we are, Nathan admitted. But I know I don't want you to leave. And I know Ava and Noah are good for each other. And I know my house has been empty for 5 years, and maybe it's time it wasn't. Lily was quiet for so long Nathan thought she'd say no. Then she looked up at him, eyes red and exhausted. I need to think about it. Okay. And I need you to understand that if I say yes, it's temporary. Until I can save enough for my own place. This isn't me giving up on independence. I know. And we'd need rules, boundaries. This can't get messy. It's already messy, Nathan pointed out. But yes, rules. Whatever you need. She studied his face, looking for something he hoped was there. Why are you really doing this? Nathan could have given her a dozen safe answers. Could have talked about the kids or practicality or simple human decency. But Lily had been honest with him from the start, and she deserved the same. Because when Sarah died, I stopped believing in good things. Stopped believing people could be kind just to be kind, or that connection meant anything beyond transactions and contracts. He met her eyes. And then I met you, and you were real. You and Ava. No angles, no games. Just real people trying to survive. And for the first time in 5 years, I wanted to be part of something real again. Lily's breath caught. That's a lot of pressure to put on someone. I know, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, just... She wrapped her coat tighter. Let me think. Okay? I'll call you tomorrow. Nathan drove home through empty streets, replaying the conversation, wondering if he'd pushed too hard, if he'd scared her off completely. But when he checked on Noah and found his son awake again, reading under the covers, he sat on the edge of the bed and told him what he'd offered. Noah set down his book. Are they going to move in? I don't know, maybe. Lily needs to think about it. She should say yes. Their apartment's terrible. It's not terrible. Dad, the heat doesn't work right and there's mold in the bathroom. I'm 7, not blind. Noah's voice was matter of fact. And Ava's scared of the guy who lives upstairs. She won't say why, but she is. That was new information, and Nathan filed it away with growing concern. Did she tell you that? Not exactly, but when she talks about home, she gets quiet. Same way I got quiet when you asked about school after Mom died. His son shrugged. People get quiet about things that scare them. The next morning, Nathan was in a board meeting when his phone buzzed. He ignored it.
This was a crucial discussion about a potential merger, but then it buzzed again. And again. He glanced down. Lily. "Excuse me," he said, standing. "I need to take this." His CFO looked irritated, but Nathan was already heading for the door. He answered in the hallway. "Hey, is everything—" "Yes," Lily said. "My answer is yes, but I have conditions." Nathan's heart rate kicked up. "Okay. First, I pay rent. Not market rate, but something. I won't live there free." "Lily." "That's the condition, Nathan. Take it or I'm gone." "Fine. We'll figure out something fair. Second, this is temporary. 6 months, maybe a year. Long enough for me to save up a real deposit and find a better place." "Agreed." "Third, we keep this—" She paused, searching for words. "Whatever this is between us, separate from the living situation. We're not playing house. We're not pretending to be a family. We're two single parents sharing space." That one stung, but Nathan understood. "Okay. And fourth," her voice softened, "you have to promise me that if this doesn't work, if it gets weird or complicated, you won't make us leave in the middle of the night, that you'll give me time to find somewhere else." "I promise." "But Lily?" "Yeah? It's going to work." "You don't know that." "No," Nathan admitted, "but I'm choosing to believe it anyway." The next 2 weeks were chaos. Nathan hired movers, but Lily insisted on packing herself, claiming she didn't want strangers touching her things. He had the East Wing's bedrooms cleaned and prepared, one for Lily, decorated simply but comfortably, and one for Ava that he might have gone overboard on. "Nathan," Lily said when she saw the princess bed and the wall of bookshelves, "this is too much." "It's a bed and some books. It's a 4-poster bed with a canopy, and those aren't just books, those are hardcovers. Do you know what hardcovers cost?" "She likes to read. You said she's always at the library." "Because we can't afford to buy books." "Now you don't have to choose." Nathan gestured at the shelves. "They're here if she wants them. If not, they're just decoration." Lily looked like she might cry or yell or both. Finally, she just shook her head. 6 months. We agreed. 6 months, Nathan echoed, knowing even as he said it that 6 months wouldn't be enough. Moving day arrived cold and bright. Nathan took a personal day, his second in a month, which had Jennifer convinced he was either dying or having a breakdown. He met Lily at her apartment to find her sitting on the front steps surrounded by boxes, Ava beside her looking small and uncertain. "This is everything?" Nathan asked, looking at the modest pile. "Everything worth keeping." Most of it was Ava's, clothes, toys, books. Lily's possessions fit in 3 boxes and 2 garbage bags. A life condensed to what could fit in a sedan's trunk. They loaded the truck Nathan had rented. He'd learned that showing up in a moving van with professionals would be rejected as too much. As they drove north, the neighborhoods transformed. Crumbling buildings gave way to renovated brownstones, then to mansions with actual gates. In the back seat, Ava pressed her face to the window. "We're really going to live here?" "Temporarily," Lily said firmly. "This is temporary, baby." But when they pulled through Nathan's gates and Ava saw the house, all 12,000 square feet of it, her eyes went huge. "It's a castle," she whispered. "It's just a house," Nathan said, but even he heard how ridiculous that sounded. Lily had gone very quiet. She climbed out of the car slowly, staring up at the building like it might bite her. "Hey," Nathan said softly, coming around to her side. "You okay?" "I think I'm going to throw up." "That's just nerves." "No, Nathan, that's reality hitting me. I'm about to move into a house that costs more than I'll make in my entire life, with a man I barely know, and somehow I've convinced myself this is normal. It's not normal, but maybe normal's overrated." Before Lily could respond, the front door opened and Noah appeared with Mrs. Chen, the nanny. The older woman took one look at the scene, the truck, the boxes, Ava hiding behind her mother, and smiled warmly. "You must be Lily," she said. "Nathan's told me so much about you." "He has?" Lily shot Nathan a look. Come in, I made tea, and cookies for Ava." Mrs. Chen ushered them inside, chattering about how wonderful it would be to have more life in the house, how Noah had been asking all morning when they'd arrive. The foyer alone was bigger than Lily's old apartment. Marble floors, a chandelier that probably cost more than a car, a staircase that curved up to the second floor like something from a movie. Ava gripped her mother's hand tighter. "It's okay, baby," Lily murmured. "We're just visiting. Remember? Temporary." But Nathan saw how she looked around. Saw the moment she calculated that temporary might be the biggest lie she'd ever told her daughter. Noah appeared on the stairs, hesitant. "Hey, Ava, want to see your room?" The little girl looked to her mother for permission. Lily nodded, and the kids disappeared upstairs, leaving the adults in the vast, echoing foyer. "I should get the boxes," Nathan said. "I should help." "You should let Mrs. Chen make you tea. You look like you need it." After the boxes were unloaded and the truck returned, Nathan found Lily in Ava's new room, watching her daughter explore with something between wonder and grief on her face. "She's never had her own room," Lily said quietly. "Her whole life she slept in the same room as me. And now she's got this." She gestured at the space, the books, the window seat overlooking the garden. "How am I supposed to give her anything after this? How do I go back to normal when this is her normal now?" "Maybe you don't go back. Maybe you go forward instead." "To what?" "I don't know yet." Nathan leaned against the doorframe. "But we'll figure it out." Lily turned to face him, and Nathan saw fear in her eyes. Real, deep fear. "What if I can't do this?" she whispered. "What if I don't belong here and I ruin everything?" "You belong wherever Ava belongs, and she belongs wherever she's safe and happy." He stepped closer. "The rest we'll figure out as we go." That first night, they ordered pizza at Ava's request and ate in the formal dining room that Nathan usually avoided. The kids sat together, giggling over some private joke, while Lily perched on her chair like she might bolt at any moment. "Relax," Nathan said. "I'm relaxed." "You're sitting like you're at a job interview." "I am at a job interview for the role of woman who lives in a billionaire's house without looking like a complete fraud." "How's that going?" "Terribly." But when Ava asked if they could watch a movie, and they all ended up in Nathan's rarely used theater room, Lily finally started to breathe. The kids claimed the front row, leaving the adults in the back, and somewhere during the second act, Nathan felt Lily's hand find his in the dark. She didn't say anything, didn't look at him, just held on like he was the only stable thing in a world that had shifted too fast. And Nathan held back, thinking that maybe, just maybe, this could work. Maybe broken pieces could fit together after all. The first week felt like living in a museum where someone had accidentally left the lights on. Lily tiptoed through rooms, afraid to touch anything, while Ava asked permission before sitting on furniture that cost more than their old apartment's yearly rent. Nathan tried to make them comfortable, but every gesture seemed to highlight the gap between their worlds. On day 3, he came home early to find Lily scrubbing his kitchen floor on her hands and knees. "What are you doing?" She looked up, face flushed. "Ava spilled juice. I'm cleaning it." "We have a housekeeper for that." "I know, but I can't just—" She sat back on her heels. "I can't live here and not contribute. It makes me feel like a parasite." "You're not a parasite. You're a guest. Guests leave, Nathan. And you keep saying we can stay as long as we need. But what does that mean? A month? 6 months? Forever?" Her voice cracked. "I need boundaries. I need to know what this is." Nathan crouched down beside her, took the sponge from her hand. "What do you want it to be?" "I don't know. Something that doesn't make me feel like I'm drowning." They compromised. Lily would help Mrs. Chen with light housework, not as an employee, but as someone who needed to feel useful. She'd keep her job at the cafe but quit Romano's, giving her actual time with Ava in the evenings. And she'd pay Nathan $300 a month for rent, which he knew she could barely afford but understood she needed to give. "It's insulting," Rachel said when Nathan told her. $300? For a room in your house? You spend more than that on a dinner. It's not about the money." "Then what's it about?" They were having lunch at her office, and Nathan could feel his sister's judgment radiating across the table. She'd been skeptical when he'd told her about Lily moving in, had gotten progressively more concerned as the details emerged. "It's about letting her keep her dignity," Nathan said. "Her dignity?" "Right." Rachel set down her fork. "And what about your judgment, your reputation? What are people going to say when they find out you're living with a waitress you met a month ago?" "I don't care what people say." "You should. You have a company to run, investors to answer to. The board's already asking questions about your behavior lately." "What behavior?" "Missing meetings, calling in sick, leaving early.
Jennifer says you're distracted. Rachel leaned forward. Nathan, I love that you're happy. Really, I do. But you're moving too fast with someone you barely know, and it's starting to affect your work. My work is fine. Is it? Because Marcus Chen called me last week. Said you missed a call with the Tokyo investors and they're getting nervous about the merger. Nathan felt irritation spike. Marcus called you. He's worried. We're all worried. She softened her voice. I'm not saying Lily's a bad person, but you're not thinking clearly. You're acting like what? Like someone who's trying to replace what he lost instead of dealing with it. The words hit harder than Nathan wanted to admit. He stood, throwing cash on the table. Thanks for lunch. Nathan, wait.
But he was already walking out, his sister's voice following him. You can't save everyone. Sometimes you have to save yourself first. He drove home angry, Rachel's words echoing. Was that what he was doing, trying to replace Sarah, using Lily and Ava to fill the emptiness? When he walked into the house, he found chaos in the kitchen. Ava and Noah were covered in flour, attempting what looked like cookies while Lily supervised with the patience of a saint. Dad, Noah called, we're making snickerdoodles. Lily's teaching us. Nathan watched his son, his quiet, serious son who barely smiled anymore, laughing as Ava dumped an entire cup of sugar into the bowl. Watched Lily gently correct the measurement, her hands guiding the little girls. This wasn't replacement. This was something new. Something that didn't erase Sarah, but didn't require her ghost to exist either. Can I help? He asked. Lily looked up, surprised. You want to bake? I want to try. They spent the next hour making cookies that were objectively terrible, too sweet, oddly textured, slightly burnt. But the kids declared them the best cookies ever made, and when Ava hugged Nathan and got flour all over his suit, he didn't care even a little bit. Later, after the kids were in bed, Nathan found Lily on the back terrace, wrapped in a blanket and staring at the garden lights. You okay? He asked. Just thinking. About? About how a month ago I was trying to figure out how to afford Ava's winter coat, and now I'm living in a house with a garden that has its own lighting system. She pulled the blanket tighter. It doesn't feel real. Nathan sat beside her. What would make it feel real? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe that's the problem. She turned to face him. Your sister called me today. What? She wanted to meet for coffee. Said she had some concerns she wanted to discuss. Nathan's jaw tightened. And I told her I was working. But Nathan, she's not wrong to be concerned. This situation, us living here, you and me spending time together, the kids getting attached, it's complicated. So? So what happens when it falls apart? Because it will fall apart. Things like this always do. Why are you so sure? Because I've lived enough life to know fairy tales don't happen to people like me. Lily's voice was steady, matter of fact. Girls from nowhere who got pregnant by the wrong guy and spent their 20s scrambling to survive don't end up with billionaires. That's not how the world works. Maybe the world's wrong. Or maybe you're seeing what you want to see instead of what's actually here. She stood, the blanket falling away. I should go to bed. Early shift tomorrow. She left him there, and Nathan sat in the cold trying to figure out when he'd become the naive one. When had Lily's realism become clearer than his optimism? The answer came 2 weeks later at a company event Nathan couldn't avoid, a charity gala where attendance was mandatory and bringing a date was expected. He'd asked Lily 3 times before she'd reluctantly agreed, and watching her now, standing in his foyer in a dress Rachel had helped her pick out, looking terrified, he wondered if he'd made a mistake. I don't belong at these things, she said. Neither do I, usually. Nathan, you're the keynote speaker. Doesn't mean I like it. He offered his arm. Come on, we'll suffer together. The event was at the Art Institute, and the moment they walked in, Nathan felt the stares. Felt people noticing Lily, doing the mental math, whispering behind champagne glasses. He'd brought dates to these things before, but never someone unknown. Never someone who wasn't already part of their world. Everyone's looking at us, Lily whispered. They're looking at you. You're beautiful. They're looking at me like I don't belong here. She wasn't wrong. Nathan could see it in the way conversations paused as they passed, the way eyes followed Lily with barely concealed curiosity. When they reached their table, he recognized most of the faces: board members, major investors, their meticulously maintained spouses. "Nathan!" Marcus Chen stood, extending a hand. "Good to see you. And this must be Lily Harper." "Lily, this is Marcus Chen, our CFO." "Pleasure." Marcus's smile was professional, his eyes calculating. "How do you two know each other?" "Blind date," Nathan said easily. "My sister set us up." "How lovely. And what do you do, Lily?" The question was innocent enough, but Nathan saw Lily's shoulders tense. "I work at a cafe, and I'm studying for my GED." The silence that followed was microscopic but brutal. Nathan watched Marcus's expression shift, not judgmental, exactly, but reassessing, recalculating Lily's value. "How ambitious," Marcus's wife said, her tone suggesting the opposite. "It's so important to have goals." The conversation moved on, but the damage was done. For the next hour, Nathan watched Lily shrink, watched her fumble with the array of silverware, watched her nod politely while people discussed vacation homes and investment strategies she couldn't possibly relate to. When he went up to give his speech, he saw her alone at the table, staring at her plate while the others talked around her like she was invisible. His speech was supposed to be about innovation and market disruption. Instead, Nathan found himself talking about value. "We spend a lot of time in this industry measuring worth," he said, deviating from his prepared remarks. "Market cap, profit margins, return on investment. We're really good at putting numbers on things. But some of the most valuable things in life don't have price tags." He could see confusion in the audience, see Marcus frowning from his table. "The most valuable person I know works 2 jobs to support her daughter. She's never closed a $1 million deal or appeared in Forbes. But she's taught me more about resilience and strength in the past month than I've learned in a decade of business." He found Lily in the crowd, saw her eyes widen. "Sometimes the best investments we make aren't in companies or properties. They're in people, in connection. And being brave enough to admit that success without someone to share it with is just expensive loneliness." The applause was polite but bewildered. Nathan stepped down from the podium knowing he'd probably caused more problems than he'd solved, but unable to care. He found Lily waiting by the coat check. "We should go," she said quietly. "Lily, please. I just want to go." They drove home in silence. Nathan tried twice to start a conversation, but Lily stared out the window, arms wrapped around herself like armor. Inside the house, she kicked off the heels Rachel had loaned her and headed straight for the stairs. "Wait," Nathan said. "Talk to me." "About what? About how I embarrassed you in front of all your important friends?" "You didn't embarrass me." "Nathan, I didn't know which fork to use. I don't know what the Hamptons are. When someone asked about my portfolio, I thought they meant a bag." Her voice cracked. "I spent 2 hours being reminded that I don't belong in your world, and then you gave a speech essentially telling everyone you're with the help." "That's not what I said." "It's what they heard." She sank onto the stairs, suddenly exhausted. "You can't do that. You can't make me into some kind of inspirational story about overcoming poverty. I'm not a charity case you parade around to feel good about yourself." "Is that what you think this is?" "I don't know what this is. You say we're friends, but friends don't look at each other the way you look at me. You say this is temporary, but you're introducing me to your business partners and giving speeches about me. You say you don't care about money, but you live in a house with 12 bedrooms and you drive a car that costs $250,000. She looked up at him, eyes bright with unshed tears. "I can't be your midlife crisis, Nathan. I can't be the thing you use to feel alive again. It's not fair to me, and it's really not fair to Ava." Nathan sat beside her on the stairs, careful not to touch her. "You're right." "I am?" "About most of it. I have been selfish. I asked you to move in because I wanted you close, not because I thought about what that would mean for you. I brought you to that gala because I wanted to show you my world, not because I considered how it would feel to be judged by people who don't matter." He turned to face her. "But you're wrong about one thing." "What's that?" "You're not my midlife crisis. You're not a charity case or an inspirational story or a way to feel useful." He held her gaze. "You're the first person in 5 years who's made me want to be better. Not richer, not more successful, better. As a father, as a person, as someone who might actually deserve happiness again." Lily's breath hitched. "Nathan, I'm falling in love with you," he said. "I know it's fast and messy and probably a terrible idea, but I am, And if that scares you, if that's too much, I understand. But don't tell me this is about charity or guilt or anything other than what it actually is. Which is? Two broken people trying to figure out if their pieces fit together. The silence stretched between them. Then Lily laughed, a small, broken sound. We are really bad at this, aren't we? Spectacularly bad. I don't know how to do this. How to be with someone like you. I don't know how to be with someone like you either. Someone real. Someone who calls me on my garbage and doesn't let me hide behind money. Nathan risked taking her hand. But I want to learn. If you'll let me. Lily looked at their intertwined fingers. I'm terrified. Me too. And I can't promise this will work. I know. And if it doesn't, if we try this and it falls apart, it's going to wreck both kids. I know that too. She met his eyes. But you still want to try? More than anything. Lily was quiet for a long moment. Then she squeezed his hand. Okay, but we do this right. We take it slow, we're honest with the kids, and we don't... She paused. We don't jump into bed just because we're living in the same house. Nathan felt something loosen in his chest. Agreed. And you stop trying to fix everything. Let me struggle sometimes. Let me figure things out on my own. That's going to be hard for me. I know. Do it anyway. He pulled her closer, resting his forehead against hers. For the record, you didn't embarrass me tonight. Those people did. And I'm sorry I put you in that position. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but I get why you did it. She pulled back slightly. Just warn me next time before you announce our relationship to a room full of billionaires. Deal. They sat on the stairs for another hour, talking through boundaries and fears and what they wanted this to look like. When they finally headed to bed, separate beds because they'd agreed to take things slow, Nathan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The next morning, he woke to find Ava in his kitchen making breakfast with Noah. Or rather, attempting to make breakfast while Noah tried to prevent disaster. She wanted pancakes, his son explained, looking stressed. I told her we should wait for Mrs. Chen, but I know how to make pancakes, Ava announced, even as she dumped what looked like an entire bag of flour into a bowl. Mama taught me. Nathan heard footsteps behind him and turned to find Lily, still in pajamas, hair a mess, looking more relaxed than he'd seen her since she'd moved in. Should we stop her? He asked. Probably, but where's the fun in that? They ended up making pancakes together. All four of them crowded in the kitchen, getting batter everywhere, burning at least 6 attempts before producing something edible. Ava narrated the entire process. Noah fact-checked her claims about pancake history, and somewhere between the chaos and the laughter, it started to feel like something Nathan couldn't quite name. Not a family, exactly. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of one. Later, after the kids ran off to play, Lily helped Nathan clean up the disaster zone their kitchen had become. So, she said, scrubbing batter off the counter, we're really doing this. Looks like it. I'm going to screw it up. Fair warning. I'm going to screw it up worse. Competitive much? Nathan bumped her shoulder. Only about screwing up relationships, apparently. She laughed, and the sound was lighter than before, less guarded. Can I ask you something? Lily said after a moment. Anything. Last night, when you said you were falling in love with me, did you mean it? Or were you just trying to win the argument? Nathan set down the dish he was holding, turned to face her fully. I meant it. Even though I'm a mess? Even though I come with a 5-year-old and 2 jobs and a GED I haven't finished yet? I haven't, especially because of all that. He stepped closer. You're the least mess of a person I've ever met, Lily. You're just honest about your struggles instead of hiding them behind expensive suits and corner offices. That's really romantic and also kind of insulting to expensive suits. I'm wearing an expensive suit right now. I know. It's very nice. She smiled, but it faded quickly. I'm scared this is a dream, that I'm going to wake up back in that apartment with the broken heater and realize none of this was real. It's real, I promise. Yeah, but your promises come with a 12-bedroom house and unlimited pancake supplies. My promises come with, she gestured vaguely, anxiety and trauma and a deep distrust of good things. Then we're a perfect match. Lily kissed him. It was quick, almost hesitant, but it was the first time she'd initiated anything, and Nathan felt it like electricity down his spine. "What was that for?" he asked when she pulled back. "For being patient, for not pushing, for—" She paused. "For seeing me." "I'll always see you." "Don't make promises you can't keep." "Then I'll try really hard to keep them." The moment was interrupted by a crash from upstairs, followed by Ava's voice yelling, "It's fine! Everything's fine! We're not doing anything wrong!" Nathan and Lily exchanged a look. "Should we be concerned?" he asked. "Definitely, but let's give it another 30 seconds before we panic." Those 30 seconds turned into investigating what turned out to be an attempt to build a science experiment involving Noah's telescope, Ava's craft supplies, and a quantity of tape that suggested they'd used an entire roll. "We were trying to see if we could make the telescope better," Noah explained. "By covering it in glitter and feathers?" "We thought it needed decorating," Ava added helpfully. Nathan looked at the disaster, at his expensive telescope covered in pink glitter and what appeared to be part of a feather boa, and started laughing, really laughing, the kind that made his stomach hurt. Lily joined in, and then the kids, until all four of them were sitting in Noah's room, surrounded by craft supplies and broken telescope parts, laughing until they couldn't breathe. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't smooth or easy or anything like what Nathan had imagined family would look like this time around. But it was real. And for the first time in 5 years, real felt like enough. Real lasted exactly 3 weeks before it got complicated again. Nathan came home from work to find Lily at the kitchen table surrounded by bills, her laptop open to apartment listings, face tight with concentration. "What are you doing?" he asked. She didn't look up. "Research." "For what?" "Places I can afford once I save enough to move out. There's a 2-bedroom in Bridgeport for $1,100. If I pick up weekend shifts at the cafe and maybe find something part-time online, I could probably swing it by summer." Nathan felt something cold settle in his stomach. "You're planning to leave." "That was always the plan, Nathan. Temporary, remember?" Now she did look up, and her expression was carefully neutral. "I've been here almost 2 months. I need to start thinking about next steps." "What if next steps didn't mean leaving?" "Don't." Her voice went sharp. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "Why does it need to be hard at all?" Lily closed her laptop with more force than necessary. "Because I can't stay here forever playing house with you while I work at a cafe and you run a billion-dollar company. Because Ava's already calling this home and Noah's getting attached. And when it falls apart, why are you so convinced it's going to fall apart? Because things like this don't last." She stood, pacing. "Because you're going to wake up one day and realize you can do better than a high school dropout waitress. Because your business partners already think I'm a joke. And your sister actively hates me. And Rachel doesn't hate you. She called me last week, asked if I was aware that people were talking, that board members were questioning your judgment, that dating the help wasn't a good look for someone in your position." Nathan felt anger flash hot. "She said that?" "She said a lot of things. Most of them true." Lily wrapped her arms around herself. "I'm making your life harder, Nathan. I'm a complication you don't need." "You're not a complication. You're—" "What?" "What am I exactly? Your girlfriend? We haven't even defined what this is. Your charity case? Because that's what it looks like from the outside. Your midlife crisis? Because I sure as hell feel like one most days." "You're the person I love," Nathan said. "That's what you are." The words hung between them. Lily's eyes went wide. Then, bright with tears, she blinked back furiously. "You can't just say things like that." "Why not? It's true." "Because it's not fair. You don't get to make this harder by being—" She gestured helplessly. "By being honest and perfect and saying exactly what I want to hear. I'm not perfect. I'm really, really far from perfect." "You're perfect for me," Lily whispered. "And that's the problem, because I'm not perfect for you, and eventually you're going to figure that out." Before Nathan could respond, Ava appeared in the doorway, Noah behind her. Both kids looked worried. "Why is everyone yelling?" Ava asked, her voice small. Lily immediately shifted, wiping her eyes and forcing a smile. "We're not yelling, baby, just having a discussion." "It sounded like yelling," Noah said quietly. "Are you fighting?" "No, we're—" Nathan started, but Lily cut him off. "We're talking about grown-up stuff. Nothing for you to worry about." She held out her hand to Ava. "Come on." Let's get you ready for bed. But it's only 7. Bed. Now. After they left, Noah stayed in the doorway, studying his father with Sarah's too perceptive eyes. She's going to leave, isn't she? I don't know, bud. You should stop her. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Noah's voice was matter-of-fact. She's scared. You're scared. You're both acting stupid because being scared makes people stupid. He turned to go, then paused. Mom used to say that fear was just love trying to protect itself. Maybe you should figure out what you're protecting. Nathan stood alone in his kitchen, his 7-year-old's words echoing louder than any boardroom presentation he'd ever given. That night, he couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m, he gave up and went downstairs to find Lily already there, sitting in the dark living room. Can't sleep either? He asked, thinking too much. Nathan sat beside her, not touching, but close enough to feel her warmth. I'm sorry about earlier, about pushing. You weren't pushing, you were being honest. Lily pulled her knees to her chest. I'm the one who's broken. I'm the one who can't believe good things are allowed to happen to me. You're not broken. Nathan, I've spent the last 6 years surviving, just surviving, and then you show up and offer me this whole other life, and I don't know how to accept it without feeling like I'm betraying myself. Like I'm admitting I couldn't make it on my own. Making it on your own doesn't mean you have to be alone. Doesn't it? She turned to face him. Every time I've depended on someone, they've left. Ava's father, my parents, when I wouldn't give her up for adoption, every boyfriend who said they'd accept a single mom and then couldn't handle the reality. I learned to stop depending on people because depending on people meant getting hurt. I'm not them. I know. That's what terrifies me. Her voice cracked. Because you're not going to leave because you're cruel or selfish. You're going to leave because one day you'll wake up and realize this whole thing was a mistake, that you got caught up in playing savior and forgot to think about what you actually want. And when that happens, it won't just be me you're walking away from. It'll be Ava. And she loves you, Nathan. She really loves you. I love her too. Then prove it. Not by giving us things or fixing broken cabinets or letting us live in your mansion. Prove it by figuring out what you actually want. Not what you think you should want. Not what makes you feel noble. What you actually want. She left him there, and Nathan sat in the dark trying to answer her question. What did he want? He wanted mornings like the pancake disaster, chaotic and messy and real. He wanted Ava's endless questions and Noah's quiet observations. He wanted Lily challenging him, refusing to let him hide behind money or easy solutions. He wanted family dinners that were too loud and movie nights where everyone argued about what to watch, and broken telescopes covered in glitter. He wanted a life that wasn't empty anymore. But Lily was right about one thing. Wanting wasn't enough. He needed to prove it. The next morning, Nathan called in sick again, his 4th time in 3 months, and drove to Rachel's office unannounced. His sister looked up from her desk, surprised. Nathan, we don't have a meeting scheduled. We do now. He closed the door behind him. You told Lily that dating me was bad for my reputation. Rachel had the grace to look uncomfortable. I was concerned. About what? That I might actually be happy? That I might build something with someone who wasn't pre-approved by the board? That's not fair, isn't it? Nathan sat down across from her. You set us up, Rachel. You're the one who brought her into my life, and now you're telling her she doesn't belong there? I thought a few dates might help you get out of your shell. I didn't think you'd move her into your house and start playing family with her kid. We're not playing. Then what are you doing? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're using this woman and her daughter to fill the hole Sarah left, and that's not fair to anyone. Nathan felt the words like a slap. Is that what you really think? Rachel's expression softened. I think you've been lonely for 5 years. I think you miss having a partner, Miss Sarah, miss the family you lost. And I think Lily and Ava showed up at exactly the right time to make you feel like you could have that again. She leaned forward. But Nathan, you can't recreate what you had. Sarah's gone, and trying to build a new family on top of grief, it's not healthy, for you or for them. I'm not trying to recreate anything. I'm trying to move forward. Are you? Or are you just running from the past so fast you're not paying attention to where you're going? Nathan stood, too angry to sit still. You know what the difference is between Sarah and Lily? Sarah never had to struggle. Everything came easy to her: money, education, opportunities. She was amazing, and I loved her, but she never had to fight for anything. He turned to face his sister. Lily fights every single day for her daughter, for herself, for a better life. And she doesn't expect anything from anyone. She's the strongest person I've ever met. And if you can't see that, that's your problem, not mine. But I'm not saying she's not strong. Yes, you are. You're saying she's not good enough, that she's not from the right background or the right tax bracket. And you know what? You're right. She's not. She's better than that. She's real in a way none of us are anymore. Rachel was quiet for a long moment. Do you love her? Yes. Are you sure? Or are you in love with the idea of her? I'm sure. Then why are you here instead of telling her that? Nathan stopped. What? If you're so sure, why are you arguing with me instead of convincing her? Rachel's voice gentled. She's the one who needs to hear this, Nathan, not me. He drove home with his sister's words echoing. She was right. He'd been so busy defending Lily to everyone else, he'd forgotten to defend their relationship to the one person who mattered most. But when he got home, Lily's room was empty. So was Ava's. Mrs. Chen met him in the hallway, looking worried. She took Ava to the park, the nanny said. But Nathan, I think you should know, she was packing when I saw her this morning. Not much, just a bag, like she was preparing for something. Nathan's heart dropped. He pulled out his phone, called Lily. It went straight to voicemail. He found them at the park. Their park. The small one with the rusty swings where they'd spent that first afternoon together. Ava was on the slide while Lily sat on a bench, and Nathan saw the bag beside her. A duffel bag packed with what looked like clothes and essentials. Going somewhere? He asked, sitting down beside her. Lily didn't look at him. I called my parents. They said we could come home for a while, just until I figure things out. Ohio. Yeah. When were you planning to tell me? Tonight, after Ava was asleep. She finally met his eyes. I can't do this anymore, Nathan. I can't live in your house and pretend like this is sustainable, like eventually the fairy tale isn't going to end. What if it doesn't have to be a fairy tale? What if it's just real life? Real life doesn't look like this. Real life is struggling and failing and figuring it out as you go. It's not, she gestured vaguely, not mansions and unlimited resources and someone swooping in to save you. I'm not trying to save you. Then what are you trying to do? Nathan took a breath. I'm trying to build a life. Not the one I had before, not some perfect fantasy, just a life. With someone who challenges me and drives me crazy and makes me want to be better. With kids who cover telescopes in glitter and burn pancakes and ask impossible questions. He turned to face her fully. I'm trying to fall in love with you, Lily. And yeah, maybe I'm doing it badly. Maybe I'm moving too fast or not thinking things through. But I'd rather screw this up trying than spend the rest of my life wondering what could have been. And what about when the novelty wears off? When you remember that I'm a mess who can't even finish high school? Then I'll help you study for your GED. And you'll keep calling me on my garbage. And we'll both be messes together. Lily's eyes filled with tears. It's not that simple. Why not? Because I'm terrified. Because every good thing I've ever had has been taken away and I can't. Her voice broke. I can't watch you realize you made a mistake. I can't watch you choose someone better, someone easier. I'd rather leave now while I still have some dignity left. There is no one better. There's no one easier. There's just you. And if you leave, you're not protecting yourself. You're throwing away something real because you're too scared to believe it could work. Of course I'm scared. You're Nathan Cole. You could have anyone. I don't want anyone. I want you. Ava's voice interrupted them. Mama, why are you crying? Lily wiped her eyes quickly. I'm okay, baby. Are we leaving? The little girl's voice was small, uncertain. Mrs. Rodriguez said we were going to Grandma's house. Maybe. I don't know yet. Ava looked between them, then climbed into Lily's lap. I don't want to go to Grandma's house. I want to stay here, with Nathan and Noah. Baby, it's complicated. No, it's not. Ava's voice was firm, more certain than any 5-year-old should be. You love him. He loves you. We're happy here. That's not complicated. That's just true. Nathan watched Lily's face crumple.
watched her hold her daughter tight and cry like something was breaking loose inside her. "What if it doesn't work?" she whispered.
"Then it doesn't work," Nathan said, "and we'll figure it out. But Lily, you can't run from every relationship because you're afraid it might end. Sometimes you have to jump and trust that someone will be there to catch you." "I don't know how to trust like that." "Then let me teach you. Let me prove that I'm not going anywhere." Lily looked at Ava, then at Nathan, then at the bag beside her. For a long moment, Nathan thought she'd still choose Ohio, choose safety over uncertainty. Then she picked up the bag and handed it to him. "If I stay, if we do this, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't make me into a project. Don't try to fix me or save me or turn me into someone I'm not. Just let me be messy and scared and figuring it out. I promise. And if this doesn't work, if we try and it fails, you don't get to make it hard for us to leave. You give me time to find a place, help me transition, and we stay civil for the kids." "Okay, but Lily." "Yeah? It's going to work." She laughed through her tears. "You can't know that." "No, but I'm choosing to believe it anyway." They sat on that bench for another hour, Ava playing nearby, while Nathan and Lily talked through everything they'd been avoiding. The logistics, the boundaries, the future they both wanted but were too scared to claim. When they finally headed home, the bag stayed in the car, unpacked. That night, Nathan found Noah in his room, pretending to read, but clearly waiting for news. "They're staying," Nathan said. His son's relief was visible. "Good. I like having them here." "Me too, bud." "Dad?" Noah set down his book. "Do you think Mom would be okay with this? With you loving someone else?" Nathan sat on the edge of the bed, thinking about Sarah, about the woman who'd made him promise, on her deathbed, not to let grief turn him into a ghost.
"Yeah," he said. "I think she'd be happy I found someone who makes me feel alive again." "Good, because Lily's pretty great. She is. And Ava's annoying sometimes, but in a good way." Nathan smiled. "I'll let her know you think so."
The next 3 months weren't easy. Lily still struggled with accepting help, still woke up some mornings convinced she didn't belong. Nathan still tried to fix things, when he should have just listened. They fought about money and boundaries and whether Ava was old enough for a puppy. But they also laughed more than Nathan had laughed in years. They had family dinners that were chaotic disasters and movie nights where everyone argued. They went to Ava's preschool graduation together, and when she called Nathan Dad by accident, he didn't correct her. In June, Nathan's board finally confronted him about his relationship. Marcus Chen, speaking for the investors, suggested that perhaps it was time to reevaluate certain personal choices that might be affecting company image. Nathan listened to the whole presentation. Then he stood up, looked at the room full of people who'd made him wealthy beyond measure, and said 3 words. "I respectfully resign." The silence was deafening. "Nathan," Marcus said carefully, "let's not be hasty." "I'm not being hasty. I'm being clear." He looked around the table. "I built this company from nothing. I've given it 15 years of my life. But I'm not giving it my happiness. I'm not giving it my family." He pulled out the resignation letter he'd prepared that morning. "Effective in 90 days, I'm stepping down as CEO. I'll retain my shares, stay on as an advisor if you want, but the day-to-day, I'm done." "You're really walking away?" his CFO asked, incredulous. "For a woman you've known 4 months?" "No," Nathan said. "I'm walking away for myself, for my son, for the life I actually want instead of the one I thought I was supposed to have." He headed for the door, then paused. "And for the record, her name is Lily, and she's worth 100 of you." He left the building, got in his car, and drove straight home. He found Lily in the garden with both kids, planting tomatoes in beds they'd built together the week before. She looked up when she heard him, dirt on her face, smile uncertain. "You're home early. I quit." "What?" "Well, resigned. Officially. 90 days and I'm out." Lily stood, brushing off her hands. "Nathan, please tell me you didn't just walk away from your company because of what I said. I didn't do it because of you. I did it for me." He pulled her close, not caring about the dirt. "I'm tired, Lily. Tired of meetings that don't matter and people who only care about profit margins. I want to spend my mornings making terrible pancakes and my afternoons fixing things around the house and my evenings with you. I want to be present for Noah,
for Ava, for this life we're building. But your company,
Will be fine without me. Better, probably. Marcus is already calculating how to spin this as a positive. Nathan smiled. Besides, I've been thinking about starting something new, something smaller, maybe a nonprofit helping single parents with tech training. Someone once told me the most valuable investments aren't in companies. They're in people. Lily's eyes went bright. You're quoting your own speech at me. It was a good speech. It was a terrible speech. Everyone was confused. You weren't. She kissed him then, really kissed him, and Nathan heard Ava make gagging noises while Noah told her to shut up, and none of it was perfect, but all of it was real. That evening, after the kids were in bed, Nathan found Lily on the back terrace again, same spot as that first night. But this time, when he sat beside her, she leaned into him instead of pulling away. I've been thinking, she said. About? About Ohio. About running. She turned to face him. I'm done running. I'm done waiting for the other shoe to drop or for you to realize you made a mistake. If this is going to fail, it's going to fail honestly, with both of us trying. It's not going to fail. You can't know that. No, but I can choose to believe it. He pulled a small box from his pocket, which is why I want to ask you something. Lily's eyes went wide. Nathan, it's not what you think. Well, it is, but... He opened the box. Inside were 2 keys. These are for you and Ava. Official keys to the house, not temporary ones, permanent ones. I don't understand. I know you're still planning to get your own place eventually, and when you're ready, I won't stop you. But until then, I want you to stop thinking of this as my house where you're staying. I want it to be our house. Yours, mine, the kids. A home, not a way station. Lily took one of the keys, turning it over in her fingers. This is a big step. I know. What if I'm not ready? Then take your time. But Lily? He waited until she met his eyes. I'm ready. I'm ready for all of it. The good parts and the hard parts and everything in between. I'm ready to be yours if you'll let me. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she took the second key, held them both tight in her palm. Okay, she whispered. Okay, okay. This is our home. Okay, we're doing this. Okay, I'm terrified, but I'm doing it anyway. Nathan pulled her close, and they sat there under the stars, holding each other like lifelines. 6 months later, on a random Tuesday that felt like any other day, Nathan woke up to chaos in the kitchen. Ava and Noah were attempting breakfast, actually attempting, not destroying, while Lily supervised with coffee in hand and amusement on her face. Morning, she said when she saw him. The kids decided we needed a celebration breakfast. Celebrating what? 1 year, Ava announced proudly. 1 year since we moved in. Actually, Noah corrected, 1 year since the first sleepover. They officially moved in 2 weeks later. Close enough. Ava flipped a pancake with more confidence than Nathan felt comfortable with. And we're celebrating because Mama has news. Nathan looked at Lily. News? She smiled, nervous but genuine. I passed my GED, got the scores yesterday. Lily, that's amazing. He pulled her into a hug, felt her laugh against his chest. It's just a GED. It's not just anything. You did that, while working and raising Ava and dealing with all of us. Yeah, well, someone told me I was capable of more than I thought. She pulled back, eyes bright. And I've been thinking, there's a community college nearby. They have a program for early childhood education. It's only part-time, but I thought maybe, yes. You didn't let me finish. Don't care. Yes. Whatever you need, yes. The pancakes burned, because of course they did, but nobody cared. They ate them anyway, all 4 of them crowded around the kitchen island, arguing about whether burnt counted as extra crispy or just bad. Later, Nathan found the apartment listings still bookmarked on Lily's laptop. He didn't say anything, just deleted them and replaced them with college applications. When she found them that evening, she didn't delete them back. On a Thursday in November, Nathan proposed. Not in some fancy restaurant or romantic getaway, but in their kitchen after a dinner where Ava had spilled milk and Noah had explained orbital mechanics in excruciating detail. He got down on one knee while Lily was loading the dishwasher. Really? She said, looking at him. Right now? Right now. I'm wearing sweatpants, and I'm pretty sure I have spaghetti sauce in my hair. You're beautiful. You're delusional. But she was smiling.
Lily Harper, will you marry me? She looked at the ring. Simple, elegant, nothing ostentatious. Then at him, then at the kids watching from the doorway. Can I ask the kids something first? Nathan blinked. Sure. Lily turned to Noah and Ava. What do you two think? Should I marry your dad? Yes! Ava yelled immediately. Noah took longer, thinking it through with his characteristic seriousness. Then, yeah, I think that would be good. I mean, you're already kind of our family. This just makes it official. Kind of our family? Lily raised an eyebrow. Okay, fine. Definitely our family. Happy? Very. She turned back to Nathan, still on his knee on their kitchen floor. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll marry you, but I have conditions. Nathan laughed. Of course you do. First, nothing huge. I don't want a wedding that costs more than a car. Agreed. Second, we do this as a family, all four of us. This isn't just about us. It's about them too. Wouldn't have it any other way. And third, her voice softened. You have to promise to keep being patient when I'm difficult, when I get scared and want to run, when I forget that I'm allowed to have good things. I promise. But only if you promise to keep calling me on my garbage when I try to fix things that don't need fixing. Deal. He slipped the ring on her finger, and it fit perfectly because he'd borrowed one of hers to get the size right. The kids cheered, and somewhere in the chaos that followed, Nathan realized something. This was it. This was what happiness looked like. Not perfect, not easy, just real. They got married on a Saturday in March in their backyard, because Lily had decided the garden they'd built together was more meaningful than any fancy venue. There were 40 people there, mostly Lily's coworkers and neighbors from her old building, a few of Nathan's friends who'd stuck around after he'd quit, Mrs. Chen and her extended family. Rachel came, and she cried through the entire ceremony. Afterward, she pulled Nathan aside. I was wrong, she said. About Lily, about everything. She's good for you. I know. And I'm sorry for making her feel like she wasn't good enough, for not seeing what you saw. Nathan hugged his sister. You were trying to protect me, I get it. Yeah, well, next time maybe listen to you instead of me. The reception was potluck because Lily had insisted, and it was the best food Nathan had ever eaten. People brought dishes from their cultures, their families, and the whole thing felt less like a wedding and more like coming home. During their first dance to a song Ava had picked because it's about love and also has a good beat, Lily leaned close and whispered, I still can't believe this is real. Believe it. What if I wake up tomorrow and it's all gone? Then I'll be there to remind you it's not a dream, every single day if I have to. She kissed him, and somewhere nearby Ava yelled, Gross! And everyone laughed. Years later, after Lily graduated with her teaching degree, after they adopted a dog that was absolutely not the size they'd agreed on, after Ava called Nathan Dad without any accident in it, after Noah grew into a teenager who was somehow both more and less complicated, Nathan would think back to that blind date, to showing up at a restaurant expecting disappointment and finding something he didn't know he needed, to a little girl with lopsided ponytails who'd seen his sadness in one glance, to a woman who'd taught him that strength wasn't about having everything together. It was about keeping going even when things fell apart. He'd been a billionaire who had everything and nothing, and she'd been a waitress with nothing who had everything that mattered. And somehow in the space between their broken pieces, they'd built something whole. Not perfect, never perfect, but real and lasting, and worth every terrifying moment it took to choose love over fear. On their 5th anniversary, Nathan found Lily in their garden, planting tomatoes with both kids the way they did every spring. He watched them for a moment, his wife, his son, his daughter, and thought about the man he'd been before that rainy Friday night. That man had been surviving, just barely. This man was living, and that made all the difference. Hey, Lily called, noticing him. You going to help or just stand there looking philosophical? Can I do both? Not if you want dinner tonight. He joined them in the dirt, and Ava immediately tried to put a worm in his hand while Noah explained the nitrogen cycle in excruciating detail. Lily laughed at both of them, dirt on her face, sunlight in her hair. And Nathan thought, this was what he'd been looking for all along. Not a fairy tale, not a rescue mission, not a replacement for what he'd lost. Just a second chance to get it right.
and every day he was grateful he'd been brave enough, or stupid enough, to take it. Because sometimes the best things in life come from the chances you almost don't take. From showing up when you'd rather run. From letting someone see your broken pieces and trusting they won't cut themselves on the edges. Sometimes love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone real and choosing them anyway, every single day, even on the hard ones, especially on the hard ones. And in the end, that's what mattered most. Not the mansion or the money or any of the things Nathan had thought defined success. Just this. Just them. Just a family built from broken pieces that somehow miraculously fit together after all.